Everybody wants a goal. They all want to have a goal and they don't know what their goals are because self awareness should happen before specificity. Say that 3 times with peanut butter. I'm Mario Leone. Welcome to the Voices of Victory channel. Today's episode is self awareness before specificity, being specific at the end of the day. So everybody tells you, set your goals. You need a goal. Create a goal. Be more specific. Write that vision down. Create your 5-year plan. Know exactly what you want, right? We've heard it all. But what nobody talks about and no one discusses is what happens when you don't even know yourself. You don't have enough self-awareness to recognize that on your own. That's the major problem of millions of people right now. So what are they doing? They're going outside of themselves, out onto social media and the rest of the world, trying to figure it all out in order to build a future without understanding anything about themselves, without understanding anything about you, the person building your life. That is the dangerous cycle that's going on. And people are going after it. And it was really never theirs to begin with because it came from outside of them. And that's where it gets interesting. So we're talking about self-awareness. But it has to happen before getting specific. Because once you understand yourself, it's not about productivity anymore. It's not about that. It's not the issue. It's identity related. And that's what I do. I help people with identity reconstruction. I was born with the gift and the ability to understand human character and human development. So the problem that we're living in now, the modern age we're living in now, is we're overstimulated and more overstimulated psychologically than we ever have been in history. People are absorbing externals, the social media, the algorithms, the influencers, the political narratives, the comparison culture, the online personalities, and most of all, dopamine-driven information. So here's the deal. When we strip away all of that information, a lot of people have difficulty hearing their own intuition, hearing their own voice or feeling their own intuition, but hearing their thoughts. So what happens is they start to lose connection with what they truly value. They lose connection with the intrinsic, inner part of who we are by going after externals and the outer world. What about what emotionally fulfills you? What kind of life actually fits you? What does success actually mean to you? And what does it look like to you? What do you actually value? I usually know when a person's having difficulty in life when they say, I really don't know what I value. And that tells me that their direction becomes difficult. You can think of values as your North Star or your compass. So society will just tell you, make sure your goals are clear. But how can you become specific when we're in a world of just overwhelm of information? It's like asking somebody to pick a place in the United States to go while their compass on the inside is spinning like a magnet. So when we look at the old ways of goals, there's certain goal systems out there. Like I like the SMART goals, and a lot of people don't. The people who say SMART goals don't work for me is because they have a trouble with the first letter, which is to be specific, because it requires self-awareness. And sometimes you have to work with a second person to figure that out. So that's where you have to trust yourself and understand yourself internally. And you may not be able to do it alone. People are operating from the burnout, the anxiety, the overstimulation. Oh, and most of all, survival mode. That's what it's been like for a lot of us. They're living with the fear, the comparison, the social validation that's out there. But what about connecting to who you are? What about creating that relationship on the inside with who you are? Isn't it interesting? That connection to yourself. We're so busy trying to connect with others and get into relationships that we forget about that inner aspect of who we are. So self-awareness before being specific is an absolute must. Before you decide to ask the question of what do I want to accomplish here, you may want to take a look at what's going on inside you and start to ask yourself how you feel. And you might have to ask yourself the question of who am I actually becoming? Who do I want to become? That changes a whole lot of things. Because what self-awareness really means, especially with the prefrontal cortex of the brain, is it means slowing down in a way that we could observe what's really going on inside of ourselves. It's not that you can't achieve your goals. It's that you will do only what your nervous system will actually allow you to do. We are patterns. You are your thought patterns, your emotional patterns. You are your motivational patterns, your insecurity, where you put your energy, where you put your attention, where you put your values, if you have any, and what is going on internally inside of you. So before you decide to spit that goal out because it looks good on someone else's YouTube channel, understand what actually matters to you. It's not about me. It's not about coming to this channel. It's about understanding what matters to you. I'm just a lighthouse and a tour guide. I'm a lighthouse because I give you the light, and it's up to you to shine that inside of yourself. And I'm a tour guide of life. But start asking the question of, what emotional state am I feeling right now? Because culture is totally programming people in terms of what they should be. But no one knows better than you. Are you choosing something because you actually genuinely want it? Or are you choosing it because culture and out there, everybody else is telling you that that's the way to go? Are you coming from a place of inner connection where you get inspired based on who you are? Or inspired internally? Or is it fear? Is it insecurity? Because once you become specific, that happens because you were self-aware. You gained a level of self-awareness. So you start to look at life differently and reconnect with yourself rather than just connecting to everybody out there. So a lot of people say, oh, I need more discipline. I need another path to follow. But what we really need is to look at our identity and start reconstructing it. Because the goals that exist out there, they're not just external. We look at a lot of physical goals and we say, I want to do this, I want to do that, but we don't have enough reasons to back it. So people will say, I'm not enough. That's what internally what it feels like. Someone who fears rejection could build their goals entirely around status, entirely around looking good in front of others. And this is why so many people feel lost inside of themselves, even while doing what they're supposed to do, staying busy. So just because you're moving forward, it doesn't mean that it connects to who you are on the inside. Your productivity and being productive, it doesn't always talk about purpose. And purpose is that good feeling you get in what you do, not just what you do, because what you do is mechanical. Purpose is that good feeling you get, that vibe inside you that feels good. So a lot of times we have to work on that intrinsic compass, internal compass inside of us. That's the real positive aspect. It's not about being robotic and just going with the routine and motions. We have to start listening to our heart and our intuition, start to understand ourselves better, reconnect with our intuition, develop that honesty with your emotions again. Ask yourself why. Okay, I want to be this, I want to do that. Why? What is the reason? Where did you get that idea from? And that is the thing, is the outside world will pull you away from who you are. It thrives on that disconnection. The outside world wants you to disconnect from who you are. The bottom line is you need to listen to yourself and develop that. I'm just a tour guide. I'm just a lighthouse. So when you feel strong on the inside, that's great. That's fantastic. It's amazing. But if you are doubting yourself on the inside all the time, you will be very easy to influence externally. So when you become self-aware to me, in my personal feelings and opinion, is becoming a survival skill in this age. And when people laugh and scoff at meditation and yoga and breathwork, when they laugh at those things, when they scoff at that, they are really destroying their ability to embrace certain things that will develop that self-awareness, that'll develop that prefrontal cortex. Because it's all about your impulses. And once you start to become more self-aware, you start to recognize your impulses. That's where the strength comes in. So maybe the reason that some people can't become specific, having a SMART goal, which I do love SMART goals because I'm able to get specific, it's because they spent years absorbing everyone else's stuff, everyone else's definition. And it's not about forcing it anymore. It is about reconnecting to who you are, reconnecting to the self underneath everything that's going on in the world. And guess what? Not every insight is going to pop up into your head immediately. You have to give yourself a chance. Give yourself that time to tap into who you are. When you become specific, it gets easier And being specific will get easier when your identity is no longer all over the map. It's not external anymore, it goes internal. Your attention towards your identity and yourself goes inward. And that is literally the most important conversation that we can have in modern life. And if you do need coaching of any kind, you can feel free to reach out to me on my Podbean page and let's see if we're a fit. I'm not fit for everybody, I'll be honest. I can be real with myself. I'm not one of these coaches that say, I'll just take everyone. I won't do that because it's not about that. Sometimes you have to look at the chemistry. I might not be for you. Now, I may not be everybody's cup of tea. I certainly will be your cap full of whiskey. But I can tell you there may be other people that are more suited. A good coach, a good mentor is someone that says, you know what? I may not be for everyone. And that's okay. I understand what I can do. Let's see if we're a fit. Reach out to me. Have a great day. See you in the next one.